Go! Hi everyone. This is the Empower show, Empower Hospitality. We are live today from the headquarters of Mondosol in Norway. It's a little bit cold here, and I'm very excited, very happy. I have a very special guest. Actually, he's a very important person to me personally because it's been my first teacher in this industry, in hospitality, and specifically in Airbnb. I'm gonna cut to the chase, gonna go very fast to him because he has a lot of things to tell us, very interesting today. So please introduce yourself, Simon.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're tuning in. My name is Simon He. I am the founder of LEARNBNB, previously Learn Airbnb, and that's how I got to know Elio. I think it was 2015, maybe 2014, 15 when we met. It was kind of in the early days.
2015, yeah.
Yeah, very early days. Airbnb was still a little bit like the Wild West back then. So I got started. I started Learn Airbnb at the time with my good friend James. After we had a foray into Airbnb hosting in and around LA. So one of the things we did at the time was, I think we were one of the first groups to look into what's called rental arbitrage. So rental arbitrage. I'm getting a little bit of echo from your side here.
You're right. I'm testing out here and I was sharing, but it's working fine. And we have people joining Facebook. So
good.
For everyone. Yes.
Good. So we were one of the first groups to test out the concept, what's called rental arbitrage. And basically it means you rent a space at the long-term rate, which cheaper than what you can rent it out for on Airbnb. So we were renting one-bedroom apartments in and around downtown LA for, it was at the time around $1,600 a month, but some of the units were able to generate close to almost 5,000 from Airbnb.
Oh,
it was
wow.
just in a really, so we were getting like a 3.5 to 4 times the spread. Now, the problem with that was these were all kind of on handshake agreements. So we had
How many units? Sorry, I lost you.
We got to, I think at one point we got to about 8 or 9.
8 or 9 units. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Starting from like 2012. And then, back then there weren't a lot of tools. There were no automation tools. So we did everything manually, doing all the research for pricing and scheduling. At the time, I don't know if people remember, but they used to post your average response time as well as your response rate for the host. So it was really important for your rankings at the time to respond to every single question and also to respond very quickly. So one of the things we found was like, hey, most of the hosts where everybody has to sleep. So, when you get inquiries when you're sleeping, it drags your response rate out, right? Very few hosts had response rates under an hour. A lot of people were like, several hours, just because during the day they could respond pretty quick, but then at night they can't respond, right? So, we did things like hiring a VA from the Philippines to answer questions when we were asleep, so then we could reduce the response time to less than an hour. That really helped. Things like that. We were trying a lot of cool things, but then in 2014, the landlords found out about the illegal I wouldn't say illegal, these Airbnb listings that they weren't aware of, and then they basically found out and kicked all the hosts out. So we instead of starting from ground zero again, what we did was we took all the things that we were learning and we put it up on this blog, Learn Airbnb, because at the time there wasn't a lot of information around looking at hosting from a very systematic way. It was a lot of like, hey, I did this and it worked for me in my market, but it wasn't very systematic in terms of looking at, hey, what can work for hosts in across all the markets, or how should hosts think about what they should do for their unit, because what works for somebody else in one market might not work for them, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like one of the biggest things that I see with people going into Airbnb hosting with the wrong expectations is to look at what somebody else is doing somewhere else, like in New York or some, you know, a big city, and then say, oh, maybe I can do that here with my property that's in the middle of nowhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, you have to your expectations should be set by what existing Airbnb hosts are doing and achieving in your
Yeah.
market right now. That's going to be your best estimate for how you can, how much you can do on the platform as a host. So we started the blog. We didn't think anything of it. Kind of left it alone, and then people started coming. We sort of left the blog alone for I think 9 months or almost a year, and we came back and there were thousands of visitors. We're like, whoa, there's actually people interested in this material. So let's see if we can add more material. And we started talking to other hosts. We started interviewing companies that were at the time gathering data. This was in the early days of AirDNA. There was another provider that was pretty good with gathering data at the time called everbook.com. They got a lot of data, and we were able to work with them and basically test out our ideas of what worked for hosting by looking at the data. And we looked at a lot of data. So there was, for one of our studies, we looked at the listings for over 125,000 hosts. So
How many? Sorry.
I think it was 125,000 hosts across the 400,000 listings. And then we looked at it for a whole year. Those 400,000 plus listings had about 6 million bookings, reservations. So we looked at these 6 million reservations, right? And they were mostly North American reservations, but we were able to slice things in terms of, hey, which hosts, what kind of, what were the difference in terms of their earnings based on like the ratings, right? What were their difference in terms of earnings based on the size of the units, based on how long they've been hosting, things like that, and it validated a lot of things, but it also gave us some kind of surprising insights at the time. So like there's some things that validated for us was, at the time, we all knew that getting superhost status helped a host, but we didn't know how much, and it helped, right? But when we looked at the data, we found that, for example, getting superhost status on average can help a host almost 50 to 60% more in terms of bookings. Same listings in the same markets, the superhosts were able to achieve much more. So we learned that, the hosts that were performing well, even if you control for the number of listings that they have. So some hosts earn more because they were professional hosts. They had more listings, right? If you have 8 listings compared to somebody who had 1 listing, you should make more. But even when we control for that and we look at just what they earn on a per listing basis, the top earning hosts were earning quite a bit more from the hosts who had just, who from the normal hosts who, also had 1 listing, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest reason we think, aside from the fact that they were executing better on the listings, they were executing better on their guest experience. They were executing better with their pricing. They knew what they were doing. A lot of hosts kind of coming in initially, they sort of think of pricing as I just set it and I forget it. And there's sort of a lot of nuances with pricing that can really affect how much you end up getting out of your listing. If you charge too little, you're leaving profits that you could be earning. If you charge too much, you're going to have more empty nights than you should, right? And that's something that has to be managed and tracked carefully because your market conditions can change. How much you should price should change quite a bit if you have differences in demand during different times of year. Okay, so some markets are pretty consistent all year round, but some markets have very low demand during some months and then very high demand during other months, right? So then you have to adjust appropriately. You have to price lower during the low demand seasons, and you have to price higher during the high demand seasons in order to get the most out of your unit. So these were the kinds of things that we were validating with our research and sharing with our readers. And over time, we started to grow our audience, sharing more of these insights, working with more brands and companies to provide more of useful information for hosts. Now, right now, me and my business partner, we are in the process of writing Airbnb for Dummies. It's going to be
Very
released.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
What
going to
is
be.
it?
It is. It's a pretty popular series that's published by Wiley Publishing. They're an international publisher, and they have a lot of titles and under the dummy title. So we are creating the Airbnb title for their dummy series. It's going to be released in May of 2020.
So it's the original series, the dummy series.
Yeah, it's part of the original dummy series. We're creating the title for Airbnb. Yeah.
Oh wow! Also, I saw you were with Robert Kiyosaki. You are in Lynda.com, LinkedIn,
Yeah. So
Udemy.
I've worked. Besides running Learn Airbnb, I run a few other e-learning related businesses in the real estate and finance space. And some of my materials are found on Udemy, LinkedIn, Lynda.com. With what we're doing with LearnBNB, we have a partnership with Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Robert Kiyosaki's company.
How did you meet with Robert? Have you done any courses?
Yeah, so I met someone, actually somebody who works with his team reached out, and then we started talking about what made sense. Because the training program that we've done for Airbnb hosts is something that we've worked on for many years. That's not just based on the things that we've
I took two
deployed and
editions, right?
practiced. I think you took two of them. This is like an even updated version.
It's even updated. Okay, I
Yeah.
done 2 edition.
Yeah. So this is an updated version, collaborating with James Vedic. He also runs a BNB Mastery program.
Do you want to say a little bit about him? Because before you had another partner.
Yeah. So my business partner now, James Savidic, he's the founder of Mastery Program. We joined forces together towards the end of 2018. So James, I think it was 2017, maybe the end of 2016, early 2017. He was working on a startup. I think it was a watch startup. He was trying to manufacture a new watch. Tough space to be in, but he burned through a lot of his cash. The startup didn't work, and then he was kind of in a situation where he needed a way to start earning money. He wasn't sure what to do. He came across Learn Airbnb at the time, my blog. He decided that he liked what he saw. He wanted to try it out. So he started to host his first properties on there. But then
he was a student. One of your students, just like
he's
me.
one of my students. And then he took the teachings and he took it to another level. So he really perfected the co-hosting model, and that was just starting to kind of come around. The co-hosting marketplace was just around, but now it's no longer there anymore. But so what he did was he started doing that. He's like, whoa, it's working. I need more properties to make more money, but then it's actually very hard and very costly to add properties yourself. Like if you have to buy it, he was living in Toronto at the time. So if you wanted to buy an apartment, it was going to be very expensive in downtown Toronto, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 for kind of a 1 or 2 bedroom flat. And to rent it himself, it was still hard to convince a landlord to rent to you and explicitly give you a subletting right, a clause in your lease
Master
agreement.
leasing.
Yeah, that allows you to lease on Airbnb. So
rental arbitrage, all this terminology. Basically, you rent from someone and then you re-rent to someone else.
excuse me, yeah. So at the time, those were the two main popular options. You buy the property, which costs a lot, and a lot of risk, or you rent it, which also is just time consuming because not a lot of landlords want to let you do that. But you still have to oftentimes sign a 12-month lease, which, if you end up not being able to sublet on Airbnb, then you're on the hook for the rest of the lease, and that can be very expensive as well. So a better way is to co-host, is to find an owner that already owns the property that wants to benefit from being able to earn more on Airbnb, but they don't want to do it. They just don't have the time. They don't have the expertise. They just want somebody to do everything for them, right? And and these property owners are willing to pay a percentage of the rents that are collected on Airbnb to their co-hosts, and that's exactly what James did. He just went out and started acquiring these properties. Within about a year's time, he went from his first listing to over to close to 40 listings. Yeah, right around 40 listings. And he was, by then he started to completely automate his process. He had other folks boots on the ground. He was doing all the messaging, all the check-ins and checkouts remotely. So he was implementing a lot of processes that allowed him to add more units while he was able to do it remotely. So after he got to when he got to 40 listings, he was doing it while he was traveling, remotely as a digital nomad. So it was pretty amazing what he was able to do. And he reached out and said, hey, I learned a lot from what you were teaching, but I also tried some other things that kind of, took my business to another level. I'd love to work together and see if we can do something interesting. And so
what an inspiring story. So the student became the teacher, kind of.
Oh yeah, he became the master in many ways. And so yeah, so I thought, it was a good way because the stuff that we were covering were mostly to get people to their first few units. But his methodology really takes people to sort of the next level if they want to turn it into a business, not just as a side gig.
So there is a course now. There is a course, the new edition of what used to be the LearnAirbnb.com, now LearnBNB.com. There is a new edition.
Yeah. So we call it, it's a joint program that me and James teach together. It's called Hosting Accelerator. We're actually updating that again soon. But yeah, we've taught quite a few students from around the world, taking folks from all ages, for as young as, like, I think our youngest student was maybe like 18 or 19. Our oldest student was in her 70s. She was a grandma. She suddenly had a big house all to herself, and then she learned how to get her listing up, and she became a super host within 6 months.
Awesome.
So it's really great working with students. Just a lot of people host for very different reasons, and contrary to what some of the news articles in the media talk about, the vast majority of hosts are not professional property managers.
Sorry, can you touch base on that? What the news are saying about?
Yeah, there's there's a lot of anti-short-term rental, anti-Airbnb articles will say it's because of Airbnb that we have a housing shortage. No, that's complete BS, right? Even in the cities that have the worst housing shortages, affordable housing issues, like in San Francisco, most of even the most credible studies will show that short-term rentals maybe at most account for 1.5 or 2% of
I heard they said
the market.
I heard they said 3% in the Airbnb story, the true story of Airbnb. They were talking about
it's a fraction. It's not,
it's a fraction. It's a fraction. Yes,
about,
you're right.
yeah,
I heard it. I heard it in the
stock. Yeah, exactly. Out of the total stock of available units that's for rent for somebody to buy, it's such a small percentage that there's no way they could swing the market. And the big, the reason for affordable housing issues has to do with very, very dated, decades old, zoning policies that don't make sense for today. That keep keep the density levels incredibly low. So for affordable housing issues to be addressed, the municipalities are going to have to significantly rehaul their zoning laws because they just don't make sense. You have a lot of people moving in, but they're
What's
keeping
the real
density.
problem then? If it's not sure, I mean, long-term housing out of the market, why they want to stop Airbnb? Why they say Airbnb is a problem? Who is saying is a problem?
It's easy target. There's the cities that want to blame Airbnb for their poor zoning policies that have led to the current crises in affordability. But also there are residents. Some markets residents don't like that. They don't want, and rightly so. They don't want their neighborhood to
Sorry,
have too
Simon.
many.
Sorry, Simon. When you said the legislator are complaining they don't like Airbnb, but you said it's a false reason. So I want to know what is the right reason, in your opinion, why the legislator, why the politician are complaining Airbnb is bad. Who is behind those legislators? Legislator are the concept of democracy is that you represent someone. Who are they representing?
Well, they're representing the loudest residents who are complaining, but a lot of it is funded also by interests that would benefit from Airbnb and short-term rentals being limited,
Who?
specifically the hotel industry.
Hotel
Uh,
industry. Here you come, the hoteliers. So basically, the war between
Airbnb, short-term rental, and hotel-funded interests that they both have put a lot of money into key battleground markets to work on that. So what's happening is the cities. The big reason that the cities are imposing regulations is also that they want a cut of the benefits. They haven't been able to collect their tax, the occupancy tax, the equivalent of the hotel tax, right? So in the cities now that are starting to really clamp down on that, they're forcing Airbnb to collect on their behalf. And as long as Airbnb collects on their behalf, I think they're gonna reach some sort of a happy middle ground. And the happy middle ground is what you're gonna see across most cities. They either recently have passed laws like this, or they're thinking about passing laws like this, which is instead of kind of a wild, wild west where somebody can just put their unit on short-term rental in anywhere in the city for the entire calendar year for 365 days, they're going to put a limit and some restrictions.
So
you're going to need a permit. You're going to need
Airbnb is gonna be their pet. It's gonna say it's gonna do whatever the hotel industry is gonna ask them. Because I also heard that Brian Chesky reached out to the hotel industry in Switzerland, in Davos, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He was kind of sucking up on the hotel industry, saying we're not going to disrupt or destroy your industry, but instead you can join us. And the recent acquisition of Hotel Tonight is going in that direction. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're starting to get there because if you think about it, the overall travel demand, there's going to be a segment that just likes hotels more. They like that kind of consistency. They like the sort of some of the amenities that the hotels, the full concierge service. And then there's folks that are going to always prefer Airbnb, and then there's some that are going to be kind of in the middle that would do a little bit of both, depending on the kind of trip that they're taking, right? And where they're going, for example. So it's not going to be that Airbnb and short-term rentals will kill hotels. There's a place for hotels and there's a place for Airbnb, but where that is, I don't think Airbnb has sort of quite gotten to that equilibrium point yet. And I think where the hotels are is they don't want they don't want Airbnb to keep growing to reach that equilibrium point, because the more they grow to reach that equilibrium point, sort of the lower new normal that's going to be for hotels.
But don't you think that hotels are coming into Airbnbs?
Some are. Some of them are trying to get on the platform and see if they can get basically share in some of that booking. But I it's still kind of early to see, right? Because the core Airbnb user base, they want to stay at people's homes. They want to stay in like unique places.
Because Simon, I was in this host event, Host 2019. It's like this hospitality event. It was sponsored by HomeAway and Airbnb. And it was like, it kind of looked like Airbnb Open, or, it kind of looked like they were sponsoring the event. And in that event, there was also the presence of Marriott. And they had a public speech on what the giants are going to bring in the industry of the sharing economy. And then the recent acquisition, not acquisition, but they created Marriott, a platform, the Marriott Homes. And also they partnered with Hostmaker, which is one of our competitor with Mondosol. Hostmaker, in UK, they open up offices now around the world, and they are the first to join the marketplace of Marriott. So Marriott is entering into the sharing economy in different way. So they are coming probably into the platform with Hotel Tonight. I know many channel managers now, they integrate with Airbnb. Then they are making their own marketplace. And for what I understand that they are doing is that they are trying also to create new brand hotels, and they are trying to get homes, they are trying to get apartments. So they are trying to consolidate what is this sharing economy that is so diffuse, so disparate, and it's not consolidated. And like,
there's gonna be like an overlap. It used to be like hotels were here, like Airbnb listings were here, but as Airbnb and as there's demand for sort of nicer, more consistent, almost hotel quality and consistency units, you're going to start to see a blending, right? And it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense that some of the hotels are going to try to build their own portfolio of these like equivalent of like Airbnb Lux or Airbnb Plus type of units. It has sort of that, like, it would appeal to the traditional hotel travelers who tend to stay at the nicer hotels, because then they get this really nice home, they get these amenities, and it probably costs something similar to renting getting a nice hotel. So it'll be interesting to see. But what does that mean now for Airbnb with all these new regulations? So if you think about what's happening, look at an example in what's happened over the last 3 years in San Francisco, for example. In 2018, Airbnb was forced to remove 50% of the listings in San Francisco because 50% were like designated as completely illegal. And so that the available supply was cut in half in a year. Now,
wow,
the actual supply was cut even more because the existing listings that previously were skirting the restrictions of listing for only up to 90 days as a whole unit, and then as a shared unit, as a home sharing unit where the homeowner is still on the premise, you could list longer. I forget what the actual limit is now, but a lot of people were kind of not ignoring that, but they're starting to enforce and fine. So then people are actually starting to follow that. Then that means that the same listings that are still available that used to be listed, say, all year round, a lot of them are now only listed during the most busy 90 days or 120 days of the market, right? So then the number of listings have dropped, and the remaining listings in terms of their availability has dropped. And you're going to see that across a lot of cities. This means that there's the supply of available days and the listings that are available for people to book as their demand is growing is dropping. Their supply is not going to be able to keep up with the demand. That's why the prices of Airbnb over the last few years, especially in kind of the key travel markets, have gone way up. And that price difference between renting an Airbnb and a comparable Airbnb in a hotel there's not as much of a difference as it used to be in the past.
Because there is less offer, less supply.
Yes, more demand, lower supply, prices go up.
More demand. So there are not enough hotels, and there are now less and less short-term rental. Okay.
No, there's fewer short-term rental available days for booking, on the platform, right? And
Yeah.
so then that means the top performing listings are always going to get booked up more, and they're starting to be able to charge more. I think a lot of the top performing listings in many markets are probably undercharging. You see a lot of top performing listings that have 95%,
95%.
close to 100% occupancy.
Let me understand one thing. If the hotel industry is coming into the sharing economy, is the sharing economy going into the hotel industry? And let me explain what I mean. So hotels are probably looking into acquiring private properties, villas, and apartments, you said, into the luxury market. I think there are hotels from 1-star to 5-star. So I also think the 1-star hotel might want to do what they call condo hotel, which is basically use their same staff to expand and get more units on top of their own hotel that they are in proximity. But then I'm thinking, what about Airbnb getting 4,000 licensed hotel apartments in Orlando? What about Sander and Lyrics? They're all getting licensed apartments. So
that's where they want to grow. So like they can't, if the regulations in the cities pass new laws where it says short-term rentals are limited to 90 days or 120 days, they can't change those. So how do they add more supply to their platform? Well, one of the easier ways is to just add the equivalent of hotel units, but made for Airbnb by acquiring these units in places that are commercially zoned. So then they wouldn't violate any residential zoning laws around short-term rentals. So they can basically avoid all that issue by working with like Lyric Hospitality to build these, acquire these and build these hotels that are specifically designed for Airbnb, right?
That's what we do in Mondosol mostly. We work with commercial property.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about the zoning. And then the other way that's sort of quieter way that they're looking at trying to expand the supply right now is, if for homeowners that already have a property, and if they have like a garage or an attached unit that could be sort of a separate unit, or they have a space to add a separate what's called an accessory dwelling unit, that would satisfy most regulations around home sharing, because the primary homeowner is still in the main residence, but then they're just subletting the extra
like a bed
unit.
and breakfast.
Exactly, but like a garage conversion, or like what you call a granny flat, right? So those can be added to the market, but that process takes time. It takes capital. There's not a lot. People need financing to build those units, right? In and around LA right now, I'm building one right now in my backyard, but it's going to cost you 6 figures to build one from the ground up. You're going to be right. So so
you're going back to you're going into the game again.
No, this one I built it for my mom. It's actually gonna be a granny flat, but I built it so that it's future proof in terms of it can be used for short-term rentals later on.
Are you doing short-term rental? Are you doing Airbnb?
Right now, I'm not directly managing short-term rentals, but I am.
Is it James doing it?
Investor partner. Yeah, he still has. Yeah, we're investor partner advisors in groups that are still doing it. So we're investing in some groups that are doing it and advising them. Just because of the projects that we're working on right now, we think our better use of our time and the more value that we can add is through the educational platforms that we're doing right now, so that we can reach more folks.
Explain me more about this investing. I might be interested.
Yeah, it's essentially small groups that that they're local. They're basically operators that have done well with a handful of typically at least like 6 to 8 listings. They're super hosts. They operate their listings really well. They're in markets that we think are underserved, that have opportunity, and then we provide funding with partnerships with investors to acquire property, multifamily or motels that can be revamped. So then, they can add another 8, 10, 20, sometimes even 50 units to their management, and they become our co-host partners in those places. So
Very interesting.
yeah, it's we'll provide different kind of expertise from that way. So we have the boots on the ground, the local experts, hosts in that market that understands it well, and then we find investors that believe in the model to come in and infuse that operation with some capital.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So I guess I got a few more minutes, and I want to say where I think the big opportunities are for hosts right now. Look, if you're in a city that if you're thinking about hosting, first thing you should do is find out where the current regulatory status is for your market, right? If new laws haven't been recently passed, they're talking about it. It's on the agenda, and you'll see what the proposals are. So anticipate that that's going to be the regulation that you're going to be operating under. So you need to factor that in as part of your equation to see whether it's worth it or not. And for a lot of markets now, operating one listing, if you're operating under a 90-day restriction, it's not going to make sense compared to keeping it as a long-term rental. But for you to achieve the profits that you want from hosting in markets that are restricted, you're going to have to look at using co-hosting and figure out how many units you need to make it make sense. In really popular markets, you might only need a handful of listings, but in some markets that don't get as much demand, kind of further away, you might need a dozen or so listings in order to achieve the profit or the income level that you want from your listing. But there's one very, very underutilized opportunity on the platform that isn't restricted by any of this, that a lot of people are not looking into, and that is Airbnb experiences and now the adventures. There's some significant advantages to that. There are some challenges to it too. I don't have enough time to get into it, but that's something I would encourage people to look into. So you think about it like this: you have an experience. You're not tied to a specific physical location. You can live outside of the city and then host an experience in the city in the most trafficked area, and also you can draw from a much wider map of people that are willing to come experience your Airbnb experience. But for a property, you're only going to be able to get people that want to stay within a certain vicinity of your property, right? So your potential reach is much bigger. Some of the top performing experience hosts are doing multi six figures in the space. It is much easier now with all the regulations around properties to earn a decent side income through experiences than through hosting a property. And I would say also much easier to set up and easier to run. You don't need as much money as well. So, well, I'll end on that, and maybe we can come back on to discuss the specifics of Airbnb experiences. But that's a big opportunity that's being ignored right now.
We'd like to have you back again. I think you have to go, right?
Yeah, I do have a hard stop. I got to get on a different call, but hope that was helpful and interesting for you guys. And I'll speak with I'll get in touch with Elio, and we can set up something else if you guys are interested in hearing more.
Yes, I think it was very, very interesting, everything you said. I mean, for me, it's always a pleasure to hear the experience, the knowledge that you have to share. You've been always very generous with me personally. I mean, I'm one of your first students, I guess, and so I have to say
also one of our first and one of our most successful and prolific students. I mean, you really took it to an incredible level. So I mean, I would say you're definitely one of the few examples of becoming the master here. So
No, master, no, but I think I learned a lot, and I'm very grateful to you, to Simon. James, I didn't have the pleasure, but I think I should learn from James. He seems like a very energetic guy. He has a lot of experience. I heard that his story is also been to Thailand, I think. So
oh yeah, he travels around all the time. Yeah.
I think I should take the new course. I always like to learn, and yeah, you guys have been inspirational to me. I have to say big thank you, and for everyone listening, you should listen to Simon and to James, because they really know their stuff. They really are keep learning, and you have a financial background, right?
Yeah. I have an MBA from Stanford, and then I have a pretty strong background in real estate before. So I took all that and then looked at Airbnb hosting in the space when it was very early on to see, hey, how can we take some very, business-minded, systematic way of thinking, looking at the operations of Airbnb and how to make that better.
I mean, this is not just words. You're backing up with numbers. You are analyzing. So
Yeah.
so you've been really cracking down a lot of listings, a lot of information. You talk with a lot of hosts, so you know your stuff, and you keep learning. So kudos to you, and thank you for being in the Empower Show. I let you go now. Thank you, Simon, and we touch base after. Okay?
Yeah,
I would
we
really
will.
like to talk
Good
with
thing.
you.
Have a good one, everyone.
Okay, so thank you very much for Simon
Yeah, you're
joining
welcome.
this episode, this special edition, the interview. So I just want to say a couple of things before I pass and I go to my family time. My daughter is waiting for me. It was a pleasure, like for me as well as for Simon, to be here with you today. And you have the possibility to ask questions on Facebook and YouTube. We are present on the Facebook page Mondosol, as well as the YouTube channel the Mondosol. You can be connected with us. You can like the page, as well as you can hit the like button and subscribe. Like someone said, smash it, crash it, burn it, whatever you want to do. You can be connected with Mondosol. Mondosol is basically here to improve hospitality. It's a game that I really love. I've been playing now hospitality. I think since I was a little child. I always been a hospital person, or hospitable person, not hospital. Yeah, I think hospital is also similar now when you basically host someone that is sick. But the concept of hospitality, or being a hospitable person, or in a hospitable location, is basically to be kind, to be generous, to be entertaining, to be refreshing. And I personally think, as a child, I always been a very sociable person. That's why I use social medias today, and to be very kind, to be very welcoming. I welcome friends from all over the world into my parents' family. They like it. Yes, they like it. But at the same time, I think for them, it was a little bit too much sometimes. I brought them people from all around the world, and they only speak Italian. So I know they are fan of the Empower Show, even they don't understand much English. Ciao mama, ciao papa, and ciao all the other Italians that are listening, watching, trying to understand my cousin, my families in Italy and in Norway. We have also a big audience in Norway listening, as well as all the other. We have thousands of people connected with our Facebook page, my profile, and also on YouTube. We are growing a list of subscribers there. If you haven't subscribed yet, there are a lot of episodes of the Empower Show, and I'm very excited. We are cooking up a physical big event. Mondosol now is launching in Asia, baby, as well as London, baby. So Mondosol is expanding. We are very, very excited. I was very interested to hear what Simon and James are doing, and we are looking for investors. So James and Simon might come just at the right time. If you are an investor, you want to jump on with Mondosol, we are really impacting hospitality. We love hospitality. Like Simon said, I really took it seriously. I discovered in April 2014 that I really love it. I remember I was in San Diego. I told this story before over and over. But here is the thing, sometimes things happen just by accident. So I was in San Diego for a marketing convention. I was going to get an award. Actually, I have it here. I like to see it. It's part of Imagine Your Dream. And I was there with my colleagues, Tamara Patzer. Ciao Tamara. Hi Tamara. And she was in a Chinese restaurant. She came with this Chinese cookie. And the funny thing is that she gave it to me and to my wife. She said, I don't want, do you want? I said, yes. My wife got one, I got the other one. The one that I got, I cracked it up and it was a piece of paper. And he said, you will be successful in untried area. Untried means never tried. And that was Airbnb or real estate, short-term rental, whatever you heard from Simon. I never done it before. And so it was Lynn. She's the fortune cookies, the Chinese cookies said you will be at the center of attention. And so she got a baby. She got pregnant of our lovely daughter Emily. And so I think just by accident things happen, but not it's not for no reason. Actually I always loved this industry. I don't know why I didn't come before. I did some publishing, some medias, and I came into UK where I met my wife and co-founder Lynn, and I was working for travel industry, for a tour operator, global travel, one of the biggest. Now probably it's the second, it was the third, and Thomas Cook now just bankrupt. And my wife worked for TUI, the biggest tour operator in Europe. So we both had the experience and knowledge. She was studying in England travel management. And she also studied in Australia and in Norway. And I was working and studying in the industry I really loved. And so when we went from UK to Italy, she started this company in education. She was teaching English and later on other languages. I joined her. Then we moved to Norway. We continued with the languages. And then we always wanted to travel more. And, we thought, but why we don't combine education with travel? She also did a dissertation in the University of Brighton about cultural tourism. So how people started in 2007, I think, 2007, 2008. So very, very early, before even Airbnb existed, an experience of Airbnb existed. That's the funny story. So my wife studied this cultural tourism. And before her, actually, I was in this little village. I did a live episode of Empower Show in this little village called San Piero Patti, where go back in YouTube or Facebook and watch the episode with Nathan. Nathan is the investor guy from Las Vegas with 21 properties. He's a property manager, property owner. And, in this little village, I was there. I lived there for 5 months, San Piero Patti in Sicily. It's a very, very amazing little corner of the world. They call it the treasure, the hidden treasure city. And back in 2006, I think, I built up this company, and it was about discovering the corner of the world, like those little villages, opposite to mass tourism. And then I met Lynn in England, and she do the cultural tourism study. And basically what it is that nowadays, especially older generation, the baby boomer, they want to discover how it was in their days, back in the days, their grandparents, their life, okay, when they were young, how the bread was done in the old style, or the whole jobs, all this, discovering the real culture. And the millennial, actually, they are very interested into this culture, maybe more from an experiential point of view. They want to do what the Maori are doing in New Zealand with all their ritual and all their custom tradition, how they play rugby. Or if they come to Italy, maybe they want to learn how to make handmade pasta, ravioli, whatever, or whatever it is. Millennial together with baby boomer, I think they're very similar. It's the grandpa, the grandma with their nephews. So they want to experience more than just move their body, travel with their body. Before, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, the travel industry was very much pleasure, leisure. It's like, I'm tired of my life, my routine. I want to take a break from my life, from my business, from my stress. I want to go in a resort, family resort. I want to go by the beach. I don't want to do anything for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just to recharge the battery. So it was very much relax, relax. And now today it's kind of the opposite. It can be very exciting, very adventure. Airbnb is launching adventure, and even tour operator, they are very much into this exciting things that you can do, you can learn in another place. And Airbnb, live like a local, belong, all those things, they follow into the trend. I have experienced firsthand when I was in this little village in San Piero Patti in Italy, and I actually did the territorial marketing, which was to market a territory of this little village, but together with this, it was a network of little villages, and then bring it to the market, to the World Cup, the soccer World Cup in Germany. I remember it was 2004, I guess, where Italy won the World Cup. I guess 2006, I don't remember, but anyway, I brought into the cosmopolitan city of Berlin and Stuttgart these postcards and marketing material of little villages, just for exploring what now it's called experience, what now it's called the bucket list, the experiential tourism, the cultural tourism. So this is very much, you see, how things have evolved in my personal life, as well as the biggest life of 7 billion people. So now the millennial and the new generation after the millennial, they're very much looking of, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've been there, and they don't want to go again, versus the baby boomers used to work, and then take a break, go to the same place over and over and over and over again. This I have aunts and uncle, actually they are doing this in Italy. They have an hotel where they go every single year, same hotel, same city, same room. So very much this habits tourism that was very typical when the tourism were first invented in the 60s, from the Club Med, the French Club Med, this typical resort made for millionaires, for rich women of rich men. So with that being said, very interesting things are going on into the hospitality industry, 500 billion industry, as well as the education industry, $100 billion industry. Mondosol basically is mixing, combining the education with the travel industry. So it's a $600 billion industry that Mondosol combine into, you see this is the word. We have the word in our hand. If you are an investor, you want to jump on into this trend, because it's basically something very unique that we are doing. What we want, I opened up recently Malaysian market. We have 1,000 rooms property owner. It's a chain hotel. They have apartments as well as hotel rooms. And what we're doing is opening up this market, creating new listings in Airbnb. So if you are a guest now, you can book with Mondosol in Malaysia. And the experience you can have, I was explaining to this guest from Airbnb, she was like, but why do you advertise a theme park, a water park in a listing where you basically should just stick to the accommodation, Because Mondosol didn't born on accommodation. I actually tell very shortly this story, and then I want to go. I have to go. But you can still watch the recording. You can still ask questions. You can reach to Mondosol on mondosol.com, shop.mondosol.com. Go there, get $10. It's on the house. It's from Santa Claus, Elio Close. Go in shop.mondosol.com, register an account right now, shop.mondosol.com. Go now, and then get $10, buy something. Let me know if you like it, maybe for you, your loved ones, your kids, your grandparents, whatever it is, take it. It's from me, from my heart, for this Christmas to you. Buy it before Black Friday, because it takes 8 to 22 working days to get into your home. Okay, it's not Prime, it's not 1 day, 2 days, Amazon destroying all kinds of work in the community, bookshops and food store. No, Mondosol is helping communities. We are paying a lot of taxes here in Scandinavia, so no BS, Cayman Island, no taxes escaping from we are 7 billion people that we need to eat. No. If you like Mondosol, basically what we're trying to do is not destroy anything. We are not a destructive unicorn startup. We are more like a scale up, impacting and building up we are much more like Legoland. Okay, we are close to the Legoland, which is Denmark and in Norway, and we want to build hospitality from the ground zero. You know, we heard about Marriott and Hilton. They are up here. Okay, and then luxury retreat and Accor, one fine stay, all this, it's the very top. But we want to start to build from the ground zero. So we work we've been working with camping, with hostel, with hotel 1-star, with private owner, with one apartment. You know, I personally started Airbnb, or before Airbnb was House Trip and TripAdvisor and Rentini and many other websites. You know, Airbnb was not so popular in Europe in 2014 when we started. And so, you know, back in the days, it was this little village. My father had an apartment. So we started very, very small. And now we're working with 1,000 units property owner. But this is 5 years of grinding. And, you know, we've been building. We haven't destroyed anyone, anything. You know, once the journalist in 2017 from the first newspaper in Italy wanted to make an interview on the phone, he said, "You are the third enemy of the hotel industry in Italy." I said, how come? How do you know this? And really, I didn't know we were so big. And why we are enemy? We are working with hotel. We are the hotel industry. Actually, one of our property owner is president of the hotel union in a specific area close to Venice. So no, we are not destroying anything, anyone. We want to build. Is the most difficult thing to do today. It's much easier to make a war, destroy completely a city, a country, and rebuild. Much easier. You know, human beings, they're just fooling themselves, looking for shortcuts. They just want to take, but life is going to take everything, even your life. So there is nothing to take in this life. You can only give. Give as much as you can, and you will get. Because do ut des, say the Latin, which is if you give, you will get. But you need to give first. So we don't want to destroy. We don't want to take any shortcuts whatsoever. If you are a shortcut person, please go somewhere else. There is plenty of space for you, because everyone wants to shortcut their way to success. We're going to fail our way to success, okay? And if you want to fail with us, and with fail, this is what I mean. If you want to learn how to succeed, if you are a property owner, you want to learn how to succeed, you are humble enough to listen. If you are a service provider, a cleaner, a maintenance, a concierge, a driver, whatever, if you want to provide a service to this industry and you want to learn how to do it, if you are a guest and you want to learn how to experience a place, not just to move your body and your mind for 1 week or 1 day or 1 month and say, oh, I've been to London, I've been to Rome, but you actually were not there. You did not absorb the culture. You did not absorb the language. You did not try to experience anything that it's typical from there. But basically, you could have been there. You could have been home. It would have been the same. But if you are a learner, a loser that wants to learn how to win, then you want to join Mondosol. Then you're more than welcome. Come as a property owner, come as a guest, come as a service provider. We have plenty of space for you. We are hiring. We are looking for property owners. We are looking for investors. We are looking for guests, obviously. Always looking for guests to experience something different. I promise you that your experience will not be the same. If you try Mondosol, we will do everything to help you, because we care. We care. We care about property owner to provide top standard hospitality. And we care about service provider be motivated to give the best possible service that they can do. And we care to help you when you have problems as a guest. If you're sick, if you're tired, if you don't like it, if you want something more, you deserve to be treated well. You deserve to have what you pay for it. You deserve as a person to imagine and reach your dream while you are in a specific location. Maybe you've been dreaming about going to Italy or Malta or Spain or US or Mexico or Malaysia or India or Kenya. And Mondosol now can help you to realize your dream. And I'm gonna say to you, the most important thing that makes me happy is to see that someone is reaching their dream because we help, because we did that little push to help that person to reach their dream. if you have a property, or if you have a dream of having a property and we can help you, it will make me personally, not that I'm the most important person in your life or in this life, but what I want to say is that it's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure for us to help you to grow, to reach your dream. Okay, if you have a property, you want to acquire property, if you have money, and with this money you want to take a trip, you want to help other people, your family, or whatever, if you want to do something good in life, we are happy to serve you. We are at your service. Okay, so please get in touch. Obviously, if you are not a learner or a loser willing to learn your way to success, like I said, no shortcuts in Mondosol. Actually, life is very hard. Repeat with me, please. Life is hard, okay? And we do it the hard way, okay? We're gonna climb the ladder of success one step at a time, okay? Now, only 5 years have been passed, a lustro, like in Latin they would say. So it's not much. We haven't been in this industry like 50 or 100 years, no. But kind of, like I said, I born with this being hospitable. So I'm 41. So you could say I have some DNA experience, okay? And my mother's family, they used to call it a port. They had a house that was always open, never closed the door, and they had people coming in and out of their house, sleeping on the floor, on the table. So I guess Brian Chesky and Joe Gabbia, in comparison to my mother, they are not novels. No, they haven't experienced what it is to stay in a 1-bedroom house in 12 people, 15 people, 20 people, So with that being said, I cherish you to be here and to come next time. We kind of have skipped some webinars in the morning. We are actually doing special edition in the morning, every morning, and not this week because I was in London meeting a new property owner. London, baby, we are here for you. We are here for you to help you. If you are from London, you have a property, reach us to Mondosol. We can really help you. I've seen this property owner starting from zero. He started in June, and he got some reviews, not so good. He got some reservation as well, and he reached out to us through our chat with our diamond colleague in South Africa, Tsebo, and our Bollywood star in India, Abhinav. And then he started to work with us. And, of course, we didn't know each other, but this is what I can say, that we managed to get a lot of traction for him just from the very beginning. Actually, I tell you the story. I put one of his listing online, and then I traveled. I traveled to my family-in-law, and after 5 minutes of car trip, I got the first request. After 10 minutes, I was on the table eating. I got the second request. After 1 hour, so basically finished to eat, I got another request. Okay, so this is the power of Mondosol. We are one of the largest accounts in Airbnb. We have a networking of property owners and properties. We curate our property till the very end. We tune it, we maximize, we optimize. There are people charging $200, $300, $400, $500 to do the job that we do on commission basis, only 10%. Basically, we cover in our 50% the cost of Airbnb, the cost of Wheelhouse, the cost of Logify. You don't need to pay anything. We provide you the tech, and now we're providing you the talents, because we are hiring also service provider. We have a Facebook group called the Local Partner, Mondosol Local Partner. So we are also looking for you as a cleaner, as a house manager, as a local partner, as a concierge, as a on-call support, as a maintenance guy, as a driver, as a guide, as a teacher. We are all looking for providers now all over the world. So now London, we are hiring cleaners, we're hiring a house manager and local partner. So if you're interested, we have job posts all over the internet, LinkedIn, Indeed. I don't remember all the job portals, but there are Facebook. You can go to our Facebook page. You will see the job section. Okay, so just apply. We will get back to you. We will train you. We will certify you. We will verify that you don't have any criminal records, that you have good reference, and that you are motivated to succeed. Okay, we just want you to get happy, to get the money you deserve, to get the life you deserve, to be treated with respect, as well as we want you to be motivated to self-improve yourself to become a bigger person. Good. So I'm just gonna say empower your life with Mondosol.